Let's get right into it with head coach Joe Mazzulla of the Boston Celtics. Brought to you by Amica Insurance, the exclusive auto, home, and life insurance partner of the Boston Celtics. Joe, good morning.
Fellas, good morning. How are you?
We're
Good, Joe. How you doing?
Great. Can't complain.
Glad you stopped the bleeding a little bit. I mean, that's a sneaky big win yesterday.
What we got today?
Whatever you want. We could do anything today. Talking about Patriots front office, talking about the draft, free agency coming up. I want to go back to Friday night real quick here, Joe. So Jason and Jalen had big nights. Have you ever had that type of big nights to where you actually lose the game and that's what happened? How big was Mitchell in that game against you guys?
I mean, you look at it from both sides. How great were both teams' best players that night? And I think both teams' best players were really good. And when you're in that situation, there's times where throughout a season that's going to happen. And they made some plays down the stretch. And I think when you go back and look at a game like that, you see Mobley's threes. You see some of the offensive rebounds in the fourth quarter. The little run Ty Jerome went on in the second quarter. The 2 threes Dean Wade hits. So the low-hanging fruit is to kind of look at one particular thing. But you got to have a whole perspective on it. And the Stars all played well. And they made some runs throughout that game that kind of put them on top, especially towards the end with the rebounding.
What can you do better as a team to better maintain your big leads when you have them?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I think a lot of that comes down to who you're playing against. To me, regardless of if you have a big lead or a little lead, the way you, manage 2-for-1s, end the quarters, start of quarters, preventing live ball turnovers. I think, offensive rebounding, which is becoming so prevalent in the league today, how we could do that on the offensive end and rebound well on the defensive end. I think when you're in those situations, you're usually up in those situations, because of either you're shooting really well, you're turning people over, getting out in transition, you're getting shot making, they're not making shots. And in those situations, you got to double down on the margins, the turnovers, the rebounding, the defending without fouling. All those things matter more.
Do you enjoy going through a stretch like that where you take on two of the premier teams in the NBA and kind of look at that as an opportunity to learn something about your team?
We learn something from our team, whether we're in practice, no matter who we're playing against. But, yeah, I love playing against. To me, on the outside, those two are the best teams. But, we got Portland coming up. They took Cleveland to overtime. Chauncey Billups is doing a hell of a job there. Like, you're going to learn playing against them. So you're learning every day about your team, whether the opponent is, quote unquote, great team. But, I like really just playing against all the guys in the NBA because each team presents different challenges. I mean, you look at Cleveland was a completely different game plan than what Denver was, and taking on that challenge and the puzzle of how we have to solve that on both ends of the floor is the fun part.
Joe, when you look at Jokic, and I know he ended up getting his points yesterday, but I'm listening to this game, and I hear Grandy talking about his assists were down. What did you do to minimize his ability to distribute the ball, or were they just off?
A little bit has to do with one. I thought Al was tremendous. In his individual defense, and I thought the other four guys around him. You don't guard a guy with one person, and I thought he protected the paint really well. If you take a look, if you break his assists down, his assists come on transition leak outs. They come on basket cuts. A small percentage of them come on kick out threes to guys. And so I thought we did a great job taking away the large percentage of his assists that come from baskets in transition and baskets in the paint. And that's a compliment to, the individual defense on, Al, and then the shift activity defense and guys being able to defend their cuts and defend their off ball. And then you take a look at the other pieces to it is our bench. Our second unit lineups were great. And, when you play against a team like Denver, it's not as much about Jokic as it is defending the other guys and defending the non-Jokic minutes. And we were able to win those. And that's what you have to do against an efficient guy like him.
Celtic City, the HBO doc premieres tonight. I know you were at the premiere. Have you gotten a chance to watch the whole thing yet?
I haven't yet, but we got to go. We obviously watched, episode 4, I think it was, kind of as an organization, and that was cool. I think it brought an amazing perspective to kind of, sometimes you wake up every day and it's like, you coach the Celtics, and then you watch something like that, and you're like, man, like this is, this job wouldn't be what it was if these things in the past didn't happen, if these people didn't achieve what they achieved and go through what they went through, the good and the bad. And so it just gave amazing perspective into, how awesome, how the responsibility and the ownership we have in this job.
All I could think about when I saw the trailer for this was two things. One, if you're a Celtics fan, you're going to love it. Number two, if you hate the Celtics, you're only going to hate them more. That was my thought.
Which is there anything better?
No,
I don't think there's any better thing. What you just said, that got me excited for the rest of the day. Like, you're the beautiful relationship of love and hate, especially in sports. We're right at the nucleus of that with the Celtics, so there's nothing better.
That's what drives you the most, negativity, isn't it?
No, it's the balance, right? It's the both. It's not being able to take. It's taking the good with the bad, and like for example, you want to take a good job from somebody, but if you take a good job from somebody, you got to kind of take, you did a shit job as well at the same time, and you just can't have both of those things. You have to have both of those things. You can't have one or the other. And so, I think what you just said about the perspective of the Celtics, that's the world that we live in, and I think that is a good driving force. You have to have that balance. You have to have both. You have to understand, like you go into an arena, and at home you're being cheered to the fullest, and on the road, you're not, and there's nothing better than that.
Did you catch the Oscars last night, Joe? I know you're a big movie guy.
I didn't. I didn't catch any of it. Anything good?
I didn't watch much of it myself.
I haven't been to a movie, Joe, in probably 15 years.
I feel like it's become rather irrelevant, unfortunately.
I do like going through the winners and picking the ones, which ones that I like, because sometimes you don't hear about the ones that win Oscars as much.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of that now. When you see the Oscars and you see what's up for the big awards, you haven't heard of many of the films, and then maybe you get interested in going and actually, seeking one of them out.
Yeah, That's how I like Whiplash.
Are you in or out on going to the movies by yourself?
Here we go.
In.
Good man.
Yes, right.
What time of day?
I don't do it. I honestly don't do it as much anymore. But my wife and I, before when we first got together, we used to go by ourselves on Christmas Day and watch from like 12 to 8 p.m. Sneak in a little wine and watch all the new Christmas Day movies.
But we're talking about going to the movie theater completely solo by yourself to see a movie.
2:00 in the afternoon.
Yes.
It's got to be afternoon.
I think it has to be afternoon only.
If it's night, you're a weirdo.
At night, it gets kind of strange.
Yeah.
So I think my wife does it. You definitely can't do it at night. That you should be arrested.
Yes. Yep. It's a good rule. Good rule.
Go.
Excellent rule.
It's like, I think my wife does it a little bit when I'm on the road, but I would do it. I just don't. I don't.
What about
but it's got to be before the sun goes. It's got to be before the sun goes down, I would say.
Yeah.
What about eating at a bar by yourself?
I like that.
There you go.
Yeah.
How many times does that happen on a road, Joe? Or do you have a crew you take out?
I try to every road trip. I try to take 2-3 people from different parts of the organization out. We go out to dinner.
It's very social of you.
I think it's important.
That's a real team-building attitude that you have there. I like that.
Zoe's the opposite on the road.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I go with Capello.
Well, you're one guy.
Okay,
Yeah.
more on preferences. Are you okay? Are you accepting of people who want to get a cup of coffee after dinner or get dessert after dinner? Zoe is out on both of those.
So I usually go with either an Amaro, maybe a limoncello, which I think when we went to dinner we had something, didn't we?
I don't know if we had dessert.
I don't remember.
I don't think we had dessert.
I feel like since you ordered the entire menu, we never got to that.
We had
part.
4 bottles of wine.
Yeah.
But I think the Amaro is dessert. Like I think.
Yeah, but it wasn't. It wasn't like ordering a piece of pie.
Right.
It wasn't something.
7-layer cake.
Yeah.
You gotta get you gotta get an after dinner drink.
Well, I'd be for the booze, not for the coffee.
No. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, so could we convince
You
you
can
with
put-
like
you-
an espresso martini?
you can
So.
put-
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or though you put the sambuca in the coffee. You know, you get a little bit of that going.
All right. I'm more intrigued about you and your wife sneaking wine into the movie theater.
That's a good date.
How big was
Yeah,
the bottle, or are they
yeah,
the
okay.
mini bottles?
They were like the mini bottles.
It's nice. It's cute. It's a nice
Yeah.
little date. Yeah.
Hey, speaking of food, you know, I met two of the most interesting people in the world the other day.
Let's
Two
hear it.
great friends of mine. I thought I knew them well, but I don't know if you've ever heard these two words go together. But I met two of my buddies. They're Italian vegans. What do you think about that?
That's got to be a tough life they've lived.
A lot of eggplant.
Yeah, but with what?
I couldn't believe it.
There's one food you could eat, and it's eggplant.
Yeah, so they're eating the eggplant with tomato sauce,
Yeah.
but what? I mean, wow, that's a tough way to go about doing
Just
it.
strict marinara.
Especially, yeah.
I mean, you talk about like love and hate. That's like right at the same time.
Wow. Yeah, that's tough. I don't know how they resist.
Yeah. Me neither. I mean, it was impressive.
All right, Joe. Well, hey, great to talk to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait till next week.
All right.
All right. See you, Joe.
See you then.
Yep.
If you like that clip, check out more videos from Zolak and Bertrand here. For more Celtics analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.